Just before the new millennium stepped in, the situation comedy was a fading genre on television. Executives groaned about low ratings, unoriginal shows, lazy writing, the rise of popular cable channel programs, and the same old tired format set in an apartment or workplace. Then came Malcolm in the Middle. A surprise success in its first 2 weeks, the new Fox comedy about an average dysfunctional American family whose middle son is a genius not only resuscitated the troubled network, but revived hopes for the entire genre. The series, which received the best reviews of any comedy in years, tied for number 2 after ER among viewers in the 18 to 49 age group, coveted by networks and advertisers. In its first week, the show was seen by 22.4 million viewers overall. In its second week, its audience increased to 23.2 million viewers, making it the most watched comedy on television. Malcolm in the Middle premiered on January 9, 2000 and ran for 7 seasons, ending on May 14, 2006. It was created by Linwood Boomer and produced by Satin City and Regency Television in association with Fox Television Studios. Linwood began his acting career in minor roles on shows such as Fantasy Island, The Young and the Restless, and eventually Little House on the Prairie, where he later had a more significant role. But it was his writing skills that provided him with his big break, catapulting him quickly up the Hollywood ladder when he eventually penned a pilot about what he described to the New York Times as an extreme version of a family. But it wasn't just any family, it was his family. The executives who championed it were driven by this extremely grounded approach. They noted that while the program did not reflect the style of the era, it did reflect society and how families can frequently find humor and harmony within dysfunction. Malcolm in the Middle actually started out at another network before it found a home at Fox. Linwood told TV Guide that UPN bought it and hung on to it for several months. Ultimately, they opted against it since it didn't fit in with the network's other programs at the time, and graciously allowed the show to relocate to another network without hassle. Prior to Malcolm in the Middle, the 2 most popular series on Fox were The X-Files and The Simpsons. To be fair, those were iconic series in their own right, but according to Variety, Fox hadn't had a genuine live-action comedy smash since In Living Color. Fortunately, Malcolm in the Middle had the network's full backing, and they made sure that it was well advertised and aired at a strategic time slot during a season where competition was limited. All of this paid off. Not only was Malcolm in the Middle the best Fox debut since The Simpsons, but Variety also reported that it was the #1 show targeting its primary demographic of teens. This was unprecedented for a network that had been struggling for nearly a decade to create a live-action hit, and it was even more surprising that they managed to pull it off without any stars and through such a rebellious show. Linwood's choice to modify the show's look was one of the most significant ways he exercised his creative freedom. Most networks used a live studio audience, a multi-camera setup, and a noticeable laugh track when Malcolm in the Middle initially aired. This worked well for sitcoms like Friends and Everybody Loves Raymond, but he wanted something different. He wanted a show shot on location with a single camera to give it a cinematic feel, and Malcolm broke the fourth wall and addressed the audience frequently. The icing on the cake, though, was that the series would not use a laugh track in any way. The show's theme song, Boss of Me, was written and recorded by the alternative rock group They Might Be Giants. It became one of the band's highest charting singles and won the Best Song Written for a Motion Picture, Television, or Other Visual Media Award at the 2002 Grammy Awards.
You're not the boss of me now, and you're not so big. Life is unfair.
The series revolved around an 11-year-old boy named Malcolm, played by Frankie Muniz, who's revealed in the first episode to be a genius with an IQ of 165. He also has a photographic memory. He's the third-born child in a comically dysfunctional family of 4, later 5, boys, of Lois, played by Jane Kasmerick, a wildly hot-headed, stubborn, and decisive mother, and Hal, played by Bryan Cranston, a well-meaning, loving, but inept and completely immature father. As of the first season, their delinquent oldest child, 15-year-old Francis, played by Christopher Kennedy Masterson, has been sent away to military school, while his brothers, 12-year-old Reese, played by Justin Burfield, Malcolm, and 6-year-old Dewey, played by Eric Pursullivan, remain at home with their parents. With Francis away, Malcolm becomes the middle child of the family. In season 4, the character Jamie, played by twins James and Lucas Rodriguez, was added to the show as the 5th son of Hal and Lois. The show's early seasons centered on Malcolm dealing with the numerous problems his high intelligence, feelings of not fitting in, and huge ego causes him. Much of the filming of the show was done on location in various parts of Los Angeles. A privately owned home located in Studio City, California, was used as the exterior of Malcolm's house. Studio filming took place at CBS Studio Center in Studio City, which included the interior of the home and the backyard. Like many shows in the 2000s, Malcolm in the Middle came to an end due to low ratings. Viewership almost halved in season 6, which, according to the show's largest fan site, led Linwood to consider making the 7th season its last, while working on season 6, but no official decision was made during production. Instead, the official cancellation announcement came from Fox towards the end of the show's season 7 run. The issue of falling viewership has been largely attributed to the network's decision to change the show's time slot. Originally, the show aired on Sundays in a comfortable primetime slot, helping to bring in such a sizable audience. In its final season, however, it was placed in the dreaded Friday night death slot, a name coined because Friday evening is the time young people, network TV's most profitable demographic, are most likely to be out doing things other than watching TV. While it was moved back to Sundays for the last few episodes, the damage was already done, and the show was ultimately canceled. Now let's get into some fun facts about Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm was originally written to be 9 years old, so the then 13-year-old Frankie Muniz thought he was too old, giving his mother a thumbs down as soon as he came out of the audition room. The producers later decided to make Malcolm around the age of 12 and give Frankie the part. At the time, the show was more expensive to make than other sitcoms. It cost almost $1.2 million for each episode, in contrast to the traditional sitcom, which in its first year may cost $800,000 to $900,000 an episode. After an appearance on Dancing with the Stars in 2017, reports surfaced that Frankie had lost all memory of his time on Malcolm in the Middle due to a series of concussions he's had. However, he later clarified on a podcast in 2022 that he hasn't lost his memory altogether. It's just very patchy. In season 4, episode 10, If Boys Were Girls, Lois is sick of the unruly boys and imagines life if all her kids were girls instead. The idea for the episode was actually created by an 11-year-old girl, who just happened to be the costume designer's niece. She gave a full 2-page story outline to Linwood, and he loved it. The girl also got a story by credit for the episode. That same season, Lois disappears for a chunk of episodes, due to the actress actually being pregnant with her 3rd child at the time. Jane says one of the tricks they used to hide her belly early on were cutting holes into laundry baskets so her stomach could hide inside. Besides the cartwheel and the headstand, Brian did all of his own stunts. He even spent a week and a half learning how to roller skate for an episode. After one of the show's writers asked jokingly whether he'd be willing to wear a suit of live bees, he said he would. So they wrote a script around the idea. He ended up covered in 10,000 bees and only got stung once. Malcolm is younger than Reese on the show by a few years. However, in real life, Frankie is actually 3 months older than Justin. During the final 2 seasons, Christopher Masterson reduced his on-screen time in favor of writing and directing some episodes. Linwood made a conscious decision to withhold the family's surname and not mention it directly in the series. The script for the pilot episode originally included a surname, but it was later removed because he didn't want to put any specific ethnic label on the characters. While the name Wilkerson could be seen on a name tag on Francis's uniform in the pilot, throughout the series, no last name, all one word, was jokingly used as a surname for both Francis and Malcolm. A publicist for Fox was quoted as saying that officially the family's last name should be considered a mystery. Rumors have long been circulating about a possible Malcolm in the Middle reboot, but no official confirmation has been given as of the making of this video. Over the years, both Frankie and Brian have talked about being open to the idea. At this point in time, it seems a film is more likely than a continuation of the TV series, due to the lesser commitment needed from those involved. Throughout its run, Malcolm in the Middle won a Peabody Award, 7 Emmy Awards, 1 Grammy Award, and received 7 Golden Globe nominations. The series is currently available to watch on Hulu, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime Video.